All right, cool, cool. All right. So first off, happy birthday.
I appreciate you, bro. Thank you for
no,
having me here, man. And
no doubt, no doubt.
yeah, always when anything come out, I'm always gotta come to you. And
Yeah.
really go to Jiggy with the podcast, and I really appreciate
Hmm.
for having me here, Um, and yeah, and accepting me in your space and in your audience and your people that you're kind of building with, to
Hmm.
let me in your space. I really appreciate that, man.
Yeah, thank you. Likewise to you too. Letting me share your story and
Yeah,
tell the world about what you do and everything, what you've been through.
yeah, man. So first, thank you for giving me the space. Right now, I'm actually coming out. It is out now. The
Yeah.
40 Hours in a Dream book. It 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 gets to a certain point where everything I kind of been through, this being my second book. My first
Hmm.
book was Victim to Street Politics, and for me, it was like, what is my healing process, and how do I actually get myself to a point where I can do this work, but be mentally and physically and spiritually balanced. And sometimes, as human beings, we really don't check on that. And for me, I had to really figure out what it really was. At last
Hmm.
time when I was on the last episode we was together, I was really talking about, me being incarcerated 7 years, and dealing with the streets, and mirroring the streets. Sometimes, some of the things that I grew up seeing was what everyone else was seeing, right? Like the either you be the sheep or the wolf. You know what I'm saying? So
Hmm.
like for me,
Yeah.
coming out with a second book called 40 Hours in a Dream, it's really powerful because it comes to a certain point. I don't know if people know about incarceration. People who don't know, there's a two different length of incarceration. It's like jail and then prison. And like jail is like for anyone who, if you land in jail, you're basically awaiting trial. If you go on a prison, you got sentenced for whatever you
Yeah.
actually was fighting for. And then
Hmm.
if you got more than a year and a day, you go to upstate prison. And anytime you got under a year and a day, you stay in Rikers Island, for anyone who lives in New York. So
Hmm.
for me, when I spent 5 years upstate, everyone knows when you come home, your account actually, anytime someone sends you money for commissary, or for you to buy fund whatever you want to need or want, like you can buy from anytime certain cultural groups is doing events, or like they created something to help them create money for their community. You can buy like soaps, food. So yeah, they every time that check or someone sends you money, they take a little percentage off, like $1, $2, and add it to the $40 that you come home with. So for me,
Mm,
like,
okay.
yeah, man, for me, when I was coming home, and I was getting prepared to come home, I maxed out of 5 years. So basically, when I maxed out of 5 years, I had to do 6 more months. I was supposed to come home June 3rd, and I had to, because I was maxed out. Basically, someone put a weapon in the living area that I was in. So
Oh shit.
yeah, seriously, man,
Yeah.
it was crazy,
Hmm.
man. A lot of the conversation was around like telephones, and for me, knowing I was gonna go home, I was too controlling, right? Like I got too comfortable in that environment for a little bit. That
Hmm.
people had to tell me one time, like, "Yo, bro, you might have to go home. Fuck that phone stuff, man." And excuse my language, but it just comes to a certain point that I love the phone so much that someone got really angry and put a weapon in my living environment. So what happened
Yeah.
was I went to solitary confinement, and I went to Riverview. Riverview is so close to the Canadian Bridge. You can walk outside and see the Canadian Bridge.
Hmm.
I remember when I was coming home, it was my time to come home. I maxed out. I thought I was gonna leave early, and I left December 31st. I think it is the 31st. Is it? It's one of those.
Hmm.
It was the end of the year. Hey, you know, it was the end of the year. You see how I'm working so hard. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. It was like the end of the year, and usually what happened 2 weeks before or 3 weeks I was supposed before I was going home, they sent me downstate close to Ulster. So Ulster is 3 hours away from the city, and that basically means like anytime people are going home for mediums or for maximum and your classification go down, you actually go down from there. And I remember one moment where I was getting ready to go home, and the dude told me, the correctional officer told me, and this is how I became with the title. He said, "Here's your $40 and go chase your dream." And for me, like there, even if for myself, I had the tools, somewhat of the tools to go home and prepare myself and challenge myself. I
Yeah.
think a dream, I didn't know what that actually was because I haven't got myself experienced with the work environment, or I was so used to the lifestyle of that, that fast lifestyle, that when it
Yeah, you
came,
didn't know what to do after you come out and everything. Makes
yeah,
sense.
yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
definitely. So yeah, I
Hmm.
mean, yeah. So I think it comes to a certain moment, bro. Like where exactly, you know, why exactly made me write this book was because we had to. I had to. That was my only way to kind of heal. Me coming
Hmm.
home, seeing a lot of traumatized and being through incarceration. People never talk about things that people actually catch, right? Or not even catch, or people public their health is decreasing, right? From
Hmm.
mental health start increasing in people's life that are incarcerated. Even when people are isolated, like solitary confinement, there comes to a certain point. If you're isolated for too long, you start forgetting how to do certain things, right? And
Hmm.
then also the studies done on isolation um, was a certain point of like me for myself of losing memory and having adjusting to certain things. But yeah, man, let me stop there. I know you have some other questions and stuff like that. I can keep going for a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah. So for the quarantine, what's been new with you? How you been staying productive during it?
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. I came out with the book.
Yeah.
Man, I think I really been organizing myself as an individual, trying to figure out where exactly do I land. And what I
Mhm.
mean as that is they come to a certain point. There's this define and definition that everyone use. It's like getting the
Mhm.
ducks in orders. And for
Mhm.
myself, it's like, what is an empire, right? Like, how do I help the people out? And I think for any of us who are going into the entrepreneurship without thinking
Mhm.
about the community, is only thinking about themselves. So I think for myself, like I really started figuring out where exactly do I want to be in this work. So creating and branding and creating a long work of a volume of you know art, right? Like even
Yeah.
poetry art, even the clothing line that I got, Politic X, and Unity Market. I was supposed to. I think I spoke on the last time about
Mhm.
creating a event where vendors are existing, but it's not.
Yeah.
It can't happen now because of COVID-19. But not right now. It's on hold. But and even in the app. So I think for me, I've been working on getting the app. Our Lionx uh, is a Lionx app that educates, empower, and gets people more involved in the brown community. And the Unity Market is a vending place that will exist with only Black and brown businesses. And I created facts and then also 10-point program that people should basically follow of how we keep the dollar in our neighborhood. And the third part, is the clothing line, Politic X. Everyone always asks me, what does Politic X actually mean? X is the unknown number. As Malcolm X always, express that we have to basically find ourselves as a human being, as a society. So, the Politic X is the unknown number. Politics, there's two different politics: hood politics and then political politics. And the
Mhm.
Politic X is the abilities to connect both of them. through educational tools and some of the art, and through our ancestors who has done the work before us. So yeah, man, and these books that I'm coming out with is getting myself prepared to really get in a publishing company, to start really pushing and organizing itself. So this is not just about an empire, it's just about creating communities, and being able to create employment for the inner community. So yeah, it's steps where I'm basically pushing some of the agendas now. But right now, the quarantine just really got me more prepared, mentally, right? So I'm more hungry, and I'm really working. You know what I'm saying? It's from every pillar. So I think it comes to a certain point, you can tell when someone's really hungry. You know what I'm saying? You can tell when someone really wants it. And for me, like, I'm like a shark, man. I can smell the blood in the water, you know? So I'm just, and the reason why I say that is because I wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning and I'm writing contact, I'm writing stuff, I'm getting prepared for the day or the night or whatever tools that needs to happen. And I think the hunger right now, like even me talking to you, bro, let me tell you, this morning I woke up a little bit late and that got me mad. I woke up at 9:30, but let me tell you something. I DM'd 1,370 people.
Sheesh. Damn.
Yeah, from this morning telling them about my book. You know, I'm hungry. You know what I'm saying? Then I posted it on my Facebook, and then I have even posted it on my Twitter and or text people that's in my inner group about my book. But I'm serious about this. You know what I'm saying? So when someone's hungry, you know, you stay all night. And what I did to really get prepared as marketing tools was sat down and said, what do I want to tell the people, and what tools would I give to people, you know, for them to actually follow, buy it, and repost it and give it to friends. So yeah, man, I DM'd 1,380 people, and then I know 5,477 people is following me. So I got to DM people that I'm not following. It might be hard to do that. But yeah, you know, there comes to a certain point, everyone got to know this book come out and support. So yeah, that's how hungry I am, bro. You know, I was up since 9:30, and I was done with it at like 1:30.
Damn. Yeah. So you was working pretty much all day.
Yeah, bro. So you know that's the real hunger. That if you really want it, bro, if there's a certain point of how you really want this, how much you want it, right? Because even me, if I tell someone, yo, how many people you DM'd and told them about your book, I just posted it on my page. Nah, grassroots. Grassroots actually means you actually creating conversation with people. You know, the reason why I wanted to sell it for $8 is because I want people who are I'm actually going up to for them to know about the product, is like for them to earn my, you know, for me to earn their trust, right?
Yeah.
So I know that the $8 is one is affordable. The second part about it is it's also a good cause. You're supporting someone who's doing great stuff in the community, but I want it. And how I want it is that I'm a DM you and say, hey, how you doing? How's everything going? I just want to tell you about my book and how it's going. Here's a link. You know, so it's about how you want it, bro. Yeah. Look, that's my quarantine.
Yeah. I've been telling people like this whole quarantine, like, yo, if you want to start a business, it's the perfect time to do it. Because now you got all the time in the world to do it. Like, sit down, plan it out. Like, even if you like not sure about what you want to do, just like, you know, start, you know, researching stuff, you know, looking up stuff. Like we have a limited time right now. Everybody's getting a stimulus check. You could use that stimulus check to go towards your business. And if you're still working, you know, you could put your money, because, you know, you're not going out drinking and partying and everything. And then a lot of bills is on hold right now. So that's extra money in your pocket. Put that towards your business. And just, you know, just start from there.
And you know, it's crazy when them stimulus checks came. I always think about, like, first people got to know how I think, right? Because one of the things about it is when anytime someone is establishing or selling something, you know, they never tell you why they think that way, right? Like what makes someone actually establish something and be able to kind of, you know, sell a product or be, it's not just a product. It's like, it's who I am, but what makes someone gets into that level is the way that they think, right? Even when I got my check, You know what I'm saying? The first thing I thought is like, what business do I need to invest in, right? Or like, what debt do I need to pay first? You know, like what exactly, how do I get myself building my net worth? You know what I'm saying? So when I got both of them checks, I invested in businesses that I was looking at, right? From WeFund, it's called WeFunder. And WeFunder lets you actually get yourself in, excuse me, into business by owning shares of a stock of a business that will go live in the future, right? So now you don't get you get two things, right? Like you get to invest and get the first stocks that they establish and create for people. And the second thing about it is you'll be an owner in a way of a business. So WeFund is a great place, and I'm seeing more Black and brown businesses as being established and being created there. But there comes to a certain point, even the area I'm in of writing books, you know, there's a big missing spot for people of color. You know what I'm saying? The majority of people who are writing books are not people of color. You know what I'm saying? They're people never know the history of how the FBI was actually attacking Black and brown libraries to make sure that they don't got the knowledge of self. So when you don't have the knowledge of self, where do you attack it? You attack the libraries. And then what do? You make reading hard to be done and to actually fundamentally take advantage of it. So the learning process is that for us as people of color, as an author, as an entrepreneur, as an activist, that's all good, right? But I'm an educator. Like I have to be able to educate people. But the most important things is like people should understand that right now, you know, and learn the history around authors who was people of color and how they was being attacked in their products of educating, or their books or their abilities of educating people of color was being attacked from the FBI when it was attacking libraries that was ran by people of color. And those are history that people don't talk about, you know? So for me coming out with this book is like, I want to educate people, but I want to empower other individuals to also write books. You know, I've been getting a lot of feedback when I'm DMing the 1,380 people like, yo, you know, I got poetry, but I just don't want to come out with it. Why not?
Yeah, put it out there. Exactly. Just gotta put it out there for the world to see.
Yeah,
I think a lot of people's like scared to, like, you know, when they like create something, they like feel like it's not perfect or in some way like for their liking, or they feel like it's not going to get any recognition. And that the thing is, you don't know if it's going to get any recognition until you actually put the work out. So just put it out there, you know, promote it, see what people think. They don't like it, they don't. If someone's going to like it. That's okay. You just got to get your message out there.
Yeah, man. And I think the part is that scary is building the contact of networking, right? Because that's the hardest part for anyone, even for myself, while I'm actually building up my subscribing for people to subscribe to my website. And what people ask is like, why do I want to subscribe to sign? Is like, you know, I'm always getting free stuff, tickets to go to events where people are talking about the criminal justice. And I always want people who are following me and subscribe to get stuff like that, right? To be in events where they're networking and stuff like that. And I think the other part about it is like, it's important to know like you're following someone, or you're subscribing. Let me correct that. Subscribing to someone who is trying to do great work. So even that was a challenge in building that up. So, but I think it's a certain point of creating a community for yourself. And I think for anyone who has a fear of not creating something, not releasing something, it starts from you thinking you're going to fail. If you start thinking you're going to fail, you're going to fail. You know what I'm saying? I think the most fear of any human being is the ability to be scared to fail. And that is the most thing that actually stop human beings from being the greatest self of themselves is the abilities of being in fear. You know, in fear would get human beings to not escalate and be them greatest self, right? So I mean, you know, when people say that to me, I know there comes to a certain point, it has to either be with fear, or you think that you're not good enough to be seen in that category of what you're trying to chase. And that's what makes people stop. Look, man, people think I'm crazy, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm dropping books, I got clothing lines, like people think I'm you know, I'm a little bit crazy. Like this dude is trying to get himself in everything, but it's like, why not?
Exactly.
Why not?
Put yourself out there. Put
Yeah.
yourself out there, put the work in, and then you'll get the results. Failure is just stepping stones until
Mhm.
success actually
Yeah,
comes your way.
yeah, yeah. And I mean, for myself, it's 5.5 years of straight working, you know what I'm saying? Of just like not sleeping. And this is just the peak. I always say,
Mm-hmm.
as a human being, we're still at peak area, you know? So
Mm-hmm.
it's just a stepping stone. Just a step by step. Sometimes you might be able to leap, sometimes you might be able to crawl, or some other days you might be able to jump. But, you know, some
Yeah.
days you might just be able to walk backwards. You know, it's
Mm-hmm.
about understanding life, you know? So it's just taking day by day lifestyle, but also challenging yourself.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Because I don't know. I mean, people don't seem to get that concept, but
Hmm. Hmm.
like us as entrepreneurs, we need to inspire more people to follow the entrepreneurial path. Build their own wealth and build their own businesses. Because
Yeah,
eventually, things might, like right now, like things falling apart and everything, and businesses crumbling. But like the people who's like entrepreneurs, they're still working, they're still creating their wealth, and still getting paid for it.
yeah, man. I mean, it's right now, from my knowledge, there's 18 million people who file for unemployment, and the
Mm-hmm.
biggest percentage of people, I heard from 1 out of 4 are people who are Latinx communities,
Mm-hmm.
because majority of them who have Latinx background works in the food industry. So they say they are the individuals who are getting hit the most. And then another thing about it is, when people file for unemployment, you know, and how that actually escalating looks from the president's side, you know, people should kind of look at like his failed leadership. And you also have to talk about how many people has died
Mm-hmm.
from COVID-19. You know, approximately like, what, 150,000 people. You know what I'm saying? I don't even
Mm-hmm.
know. I don't. If this is my knowledge from what I've seen, and you know that is blood on the president's hands. And for me, it's like, as an individual, as a person of color, and a person who lives in the hood, right? I gotta really step back and say, okay, who is the
Mm-hmm.
majorly person to blame? Because when Ebola and Obama was actually in office, he actually established a team that was helped Ebola not even step into America. And when Trump
Mm-hmm.
actually came into office, he defunded it, right?
Yeah.
And the thing about it is, that's what when he defunded it, look what happened. You
Mm-hmm.
know, so like, a lot of times people got to just really be political, matured about certain tools and educating, you know what I'm saying? Because COVID-19, yeah, we getting hit the most as people of color, right? Because we, all the stuff around us is never healthy food, right? And I think it's always
Mm-hmm.
important, like the more we actually start understanding how this kind of went, is like the importance of actually having land and growing your own food, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because now, if you had your own land, had your own food, excuse me, you don't need the government to actually be a provider, right? And when people, a lot of people don't know that the natives was really established in even creating their own community without any government, anything, right? And that's
Mm-hmm.
why the natives was always being attacked. And they was actually even created laws to defund them, as being having a classification how much how much food they can make as um, to make sure that they wasn't eating healthy or so when we talk about some of these things that we're going through now, it's like America is broke, it's a prison, and for all of us who are being impacted in some way, shape, or form, when he actually sent the money out, that wasn't him sending the money out to your business. He wasn't even thinking about small businesses. He was thinking about corporations when these stimulus checks came out. So there's a bigger picture, and white supremacy has a lot to do in this country, right? And I
Yeah.
think for a lot of us, there's entrepreneurs are a stepping stone to challenge that through financial uh, financial freedom, right? But also be able to be the individual who will kind of push the community to not just be entrepreneurs, but keeping a dollar in the neighborhood, right? Like I always say that, like, how do I, create or be a part of something that will help the community get itself from a poverty lifeline, right? Because, people in our neighborhood and there's a lifeline to our neighborhood, you know what I'm saying? And it's called poverty, and poverty is violence, bro. So yeah, man, I think everything has a bigger picture to everything we have to do right now. But
yeah, it is like pretty much white supremacy and corporations like a bigger picture to all this stuff. So what's next for you? Like, what's the next step for you?
Yeah, man. I think right now, I've been really investing. So I've been taking some Todd Capital is this individual who teaches about stocks and bonds, stocks, the stock market. And I really
did you look into Robinhood?
Yeah. I'm making I'm making some numbers, man.
I'm on that too.
Yeah, man. So my book, I'm really just taking it in a real serious point, man. I think this is a real point where it should push other men to be vocal about expressing themselves and find a healing process, right? And I think it's always cheesy, right? Because when people say, "Yo, I'm healing," what's your, people healing process might be for them to, smoke cannabis, right? And I think for a lot of people, their own taste of whatever it is their own, cocoon, or what helps them be healthy, or whatever helps them, be balanced, right? And I think for a lot of people, for me, it is keep educating and keep coming out with poetry books, but making sure my clothing line is being established and being created and getting into the hands of young people and other individuals who know the critical of where we are as a country. And then I think Unity Market, hopefully COVID-19 actually get to the point where it doesn't exist anymore. And then for me, my app, making sure my team is good. Right now, the app is being established on, not on Apple right now, but on Android. So, there's a real good point where we going at. And I'm just ready to kind of figure out what's next. But I think it's just getting the ducks in order, man, and establishing who I am in the world, but creating and empowering people around me to understand their value of being, of seeing things that I do and saying, I can do that too, but pushing people around me to do better and not to be, hopefully, what I'm saying, not in jealousy mode. Cause I think for me, I had to be truthful when I was posting my book. Some people unfollowed me and I was like, wow, so I think as a people, we do have some jealousy in us. And that's, the crab in the barrel. We got to remember white supremacy created that. But we also got to be careful as human beings of being, of stepping back and saying, yo, why am I even hating? Like, what I'm saying? Let me DM this person and see how I cannot do that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like as a human being, as society, the only reason that stops us as uniting is the abilities of us hating against each other, what we have, what we don't have, and I think that shouldn't be our process of stopping, or we shouldn't be thinking that way. I think the best way we can be actually being empowering each other is through connecting bridges and having conversations and really being there for people, right? So yeah, man, that's our job, man, to have the hard conversations.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm gonna go order the book right now.
All right, bro.
Definitely. So I want to thank you for being on with me, discussing your new book and everything.
Wait, we gotta take a picture.
Gotcha.
All right, you ready?
Yeah.
Yo, bro, I appreciate you for everything.
No doubt.
And like I said, Jiggy with the podcast, man, I appreciate everything y'all do.
Yes, sir.
and
Tell
let's.
everybody we can buy your book at.
Oh yeah, definitely. Blur right now. Blur actually, I took it out from Amazon, so you can get both my books on Blur. You can get $40 in a Dream, A Victim of Street Politics, two dope books. And I tell you right now, great feedback from everyone. Ask people around. People are definitely gonna tell you it's dope. So yeah, you can go to my link tree, and my social media is I am Vidal Guzman, Guzman. I am Vidal Guzman, and you're gonna see me pop up. And definitely he's gonna post it. Twitter, the same thing. My website is vidalguzman.org. So those are things that people can reach me at. And like I said before, whoever's watching this, please make sure you love each other, you care about each other, and for anyone who think they got their head down and they feel like everything is slow, keep pushing. Sometimes it's gonna snow and rain in front of you. As long as you got your head up, your chest up, and keep your chin up, you good. You know what I'm saying? Just take it easy, step by step. Sometimes you'll be taking leaps, sometimes you'll be crawling. As long as you're pushing forward. And I appreciate
Definitely.
you.
Appreciate you too, bro. Thank you for letting me share your story.
Peace, man.
Peace.